A very warm welcome to you all. Thanks for joining this series from all over the world again today. Today is actually the finale of our season of 10 webinars. And each time we tried a different format. Today is no exception. We are going to have mostly a conversation. And that's why I invite you all along our webinar today to unmute yourself anytime you have an idea to share, a question to ask, a challenge to bring in relation with our topic today, which is boosters of great leadership. And we'll talk about busters as well, in fact, right? You can also share your ideas, questions, challenges in the chat box, of course, if you prefer. And Teddy, who is managing the program from behind, will just interrupt me and share with you all what you came up with. Yeah? So today we discussed 12 boosters of great leadership that I've kind of identified over more than 12,000 coaching hours with executives from around the world. And it's just fitting that we start with perhaps defining what is greatness in leadership. And for me, greatness in leadership, it's a state of being, a state of being of the leader that helps bring out the best in people, teams, and the organization in service of a purpose that has been designed to continuously make a positive difference to the organization's employees and stakeholders. So it's a big endeavor to be a great leader, of course, right? But let's not fool ourselves. It is possible. And let's start with the basic. What or who is a leader? At the core, it's very simple. It's someone who has followers. Who does get followers in the first place? People who've got great energy and presence, or in other words, stamina and mindfulness. And you remember the first webinar in our series of 10 webinars, right? Was dedicated to boosting your stamina and your mindfulness, right? Because that was a necessary first step, right? So how can we do that? I'd like to share kind of a step-by-step guide that you're going to be able to download immediately, and perhaps you can play with it at the weekend. So let me share this with you. It's kind of a little booklet where I take you through some steps you can take, and to make sure you see that, I'm going to share it here again, right? It's entitled Revitalize, Restore, Sparkle, Be Bright, Wholly Healthy and Mindful. Yes, quite a program, right? But actually, it's really simple. You can read along, and we start here with a quick health check, right? To know where you are, right? So you do that little health check, and then you go on to reflect about which beliefs could be holding you back from feeling great. And I give you some example, of course, so you can get into the reflection easily, right? And then we talk about many ideas you could consider, right? And practical ones as well. So you can choose which one seem good for you. And then there are 4 more parts, in fact, in this document, right? It's little gifts, I call them. It's just like ideas for you to boost your physical stamina. You see quite a few of them here. And then there are also gifts for the stimulation of your intellectual vigor, right? And here are some of them, yeah? Practical ideas, and perhaps you choose just one, and that can make a nice difference, right? And then we talk a bit in more depth about your emotional well-being, right? And a little story here and there, and then those healthy practices from which you can choose one or two that you try and see how much good they can do for you, right? And then there is a last part in this document that's dedicated to enhancing further your inner peace and mindfulness, right? And there again, you'll find many ideas you can try out. And my hope is you'll find, again, just one or two that can really make a positive difference to your energy and your presence to your life and to others. And at the end, there is just this little table where you can write the few ideas you've selected as you did your market in a way, right? And you print that page and then you're good to go. All right. So that was the first booster of stamina, of greatness in leadership, right? It was, of course, shifting from weak health to stamina and mindfulness. Now, let's move to the second booster I want to offer, right? And this is about knowing and accepting yourself instead of a buster of leadership, which is lack of self-awareness. And you may tell me, oh, I don't need that one. I know myself fully. I would respectfully doubt that, right? Because we are very complex animals, really. And it's really very healthy to regularly update our self-awareness. Why is it so important that a great leader is really self-aware and much more than that, self-accepting? It's because then, of course, they're going to be able to manage themselves optimally and as such be a model of calm in the storm and proper calm in the storm and proper self-management. That's why Lao Tzu, you remember probably, right, said intelligence is knowing others well. True wisdom is knowing oneself well, in fact, right? And then to the point of accepting yourself fully, it's extremely important because it's necessary to fuel healthy self-esteem, right? Believe it or not, many people have not accepted themselves for who they truly are for most of their life, if not for their whole life, right? So they've lived in a way faking who they are out of self-acceptance, right? Perhaps thinking that some parts of who they are not okay, are not going to be appreciated by others. So they'd better hide them, right? But in doing so, of course, they just fool themselves, right? Because people are sufficiently aware to find who is authentic and who is not, right? And if you're going to be a leader, of course, your followers will be your followers in only as much as you are authentic enough, right? They don't expect you to be perfect, but they certainly really require that you are self-aware, able to self-manage properly, and that you project authenticity and some humility, in fact, right? And that's where Lao Tzu adds, mastering others is strength, mastering yourself is true power. So what can you do to kind of update your self-awareness? I've got a few fun ideas and I'd love you to take you through them. And again, it's all in a document that Teddy is going to give you the link to in the chat box as I show it to you. And then, of course, we're going to give you lots of stuff in the chat box today. So at the end, you can open a Word file and just copy paste the whole list of messages in the chat box, right? And you'll have lots of things you can play with later on. Let's go to this series of quite cool exercises to update your self-awareness. Here we go. And That's where I'm going to shift you to another screen. Haha. Give me one more second, and here we are. So in this guidebook, right, it's all about knowing yourself, becoming confident and humble. I'm going to come back to humility in a minute or two, right? And so this little guidebook takes you through some exercises to really reestablish healthy foundations to self-awareness, right? So you're going to update yourself about who you are, your positive traits, your negative traits, your strengths, your talents, the strength you may overuse and weaknesses all the same, and not just by self-reflection as you read the paper, right? But also in conversations with some of your close friends or trusted colleagues that you will invite for the conversation, right? And also in that paper, you'll find a way to choose which are your 10 core values, right? The things that are really most important to you, that are at the core of who you are, right? And then later in the document, we'll address your insecurities and your fears so that you can integrate them, decide what you're going to do with them, right? And that will help you be more courageous going forward, in fact, because you'll have mastered your fears and some of your insecurities. And the last part of the exercise is about reframing your limiting beliefs into empowering beliefs, right? So I can't remember how many pages I wrote in this document. It's quite a few. But nothing is rocket science at all. I couldn't do that anyway, right? And my invitation, of course, to you is you print the whole thing, right? And then you take it one step at a time. And you do your kind of mini 360 all by yourself with your trusted colleagues and good friends, right? Fill in the blanks out there in the little tables, get to those core values. You have a menu to choose from, so it's easy. You see, you've got all this menu of values to choose from. And then you come to a very important part of the document, right? Which is addressing your insecurities and your fears in service of unleashing more of your courage going forward. And it can be fear of failure, of course, fear of harm or pain, fear of rejection, of losing face or status, losing necessary means of subsistence or lifestyle, just being afraid of the unknown or losing some degree of autonomy, right? And then there is this exercise to reframe them into empowering belief or action that you can take, right? And there's a bit more in the document. I'll let you discover the rest of it at your own convenience. Can be perhaps a holiday activity towards the end of this year, right? Let me bring back those 12 greatness boosters and the 12 associated busters. So we can go further. And remember, I invite you to step in at any time, share your ideas, your questions and challenges as well, so we can discuss them on the go, right? So far, we've talked about stamina and mindfulness, the opposite of the buster, weak health. We've talked about knowing and accepting yourself versus lack of self-awareness. Now, let's go into the buster of narcissism. And of course, I cannot make political comments here, but I would just go as far as say that if you look for the perfect narcissist, there is a president of a nation that's been serving for a few years, say, who is absolutely filling the portrait. And the portrait is creating self-doubts in others or confusion, using criticism, using sarcasm, denying stuff, denying the truth, ignoring consequences of their actions, blaming others. You see, it's never their fault, right? Repetition of key phrases such as here you just overthinking it, or it could be just any other slogan, fake news or not. You see my drift here, and I've got to leave it at that, right? Okay, where, of course, this is not going to be an enabler of great leadership if we judge a leadership by the legacy, for instance, right? This is going to be a big buster of leadership. Now, what is a booster? Instead, is the opposite: self-confidence and humility. And something really, really important is to be able to exude healthy self-confidence and take the risk to be humble. You've got to know yourself, know your limits, know your strengths, accept the whole package of who you are, and come out with authenticity. And then grow some of your strengths, work on some of your weaknesses. And when you do that, you do the best job that's humanly possible, right? You grow yourself as a better person day in, day out. Nothing can be better than that. So, okay, you've got 5 stars, I've got out of 5 stars. And yes, you're not perfect. Yes, you flawed like everybody else, but you are good enough, and certainly you are doing the very best. And that is the fuel of healthy self-confidence, which is absolutely the opposite of arrogance. Of course, arrogance, very much like narcissism, stem from a discomfort with who you are, in fact. And taking the risk of humility, right, can only be done when you trust yourself to be good enough. And then as you grow, you take, and that's the next booster, in fact, you gain some comfort with vulnerability. Being vulnerable is, simply put, saying when you don't know, saying sorry when you messed up, asking for help, right? That's vulnerability. Of course, it's immensely helpful in a complex, fast-changing world, because you heard me say that before. No leader is smart enough to figure out alone the best way forward. The best leader in the world is not going to be good enough alone, right? And he or she is gonna have to ask for help and mess up sometimes and apologize for it, right? And just not know what would be cool to know. But then when you are acting within reason as vulnerable, then you will see automatically your followers, quote unquote, jump in to help, right? Because of course you are being real, and they honor that, right? And they salute the fact that you see the way forward stemming from the deployment of collective intelligence of the group, right? And when you need help, they jump in, and all together, you acting as a catalyst of collective intelligence, all together, you're going to figure out the way forward. Now, aggressiveness, of course, is the opposite of vulnerability, and aggressiveness will stem from a place of fear, where vulnerability, of course, stems from a place of confidence. Now, let me talk about another booster of greatness in leadership, and that's learning lessons from failures. The opposite is perfectionism. Hey, by the way, anybody noted that there are 2 F here in perfectionism? Probably nobody, right? And it doesn't matter, does it, right? Nobody really cares, right? We got it, right? We don't need to be perfect. This slide does not need to be perfect, right? Nobody dies, right? So why are people obsessed with perfection, doing the perfect thing? What do you think? Of course, it's fear of making a mistake, and the deeper fear of not appearing good enough, right? So there again, it stems from a lack of self-esteem. And I see Kundanaya have you've raised your hand, please feel free to unmute yourself if you so wish and jump in the dance, Kundanaya. Yeah. Lessons from failures are, of course, of tremendous values. And for a leader to manifest clearly that she or he values them and really supports people who are going to reasonably take initiatives with the risk of making mistakes or failing, that type of leader is going to move the team forward in a much more profitable way. Yeah. And so, sometimes I've been asked, hey, what would you do if you would come into a room and we would have gathered 50 people, young people, and we would ask you in 20 seconds to decide who has the highest potential among those 50 people. What would you do? What I would do, for better or worse, right? It's the only idea I have in 20 seconds is look at these 50 guys, right? And say, hey, I am super curious. Who among you have already failed big time? And I would watch them all, 50 of them, and the first one to raise the hand and say, hey, me, I failed big time. That's in 20 seconds, the one I would choose as the most likely to have high potential because he or she would have displayed the comfort with failing. And so there would be high chances that person would have understood that failing is no dishonor. Failing happens to those who try harder, further, bigger, and then it comes with the gift of a big lesson and make them stronger and smarter going forward. Yeah. So, of course, not shying away from taking risks within reasons. I'm always saying within reasons, right? Of course, right? And taking failures in stride, building the lessons from it, getting stronger is going to be an attribute of great leaders. Yeah. Teddy, no? All right. Okay. Hey, guys, by all means, interrupt me, right? I feel like preaching a bit, like that's not the intention for the conversation. So let me stop sharing this slide for a while as we discuss the other boosters of great leadership. And the next one I've had for you is actually about decisiveness, making decisions. So, yeah, versus procrastination. And there again, you can imagine postponing decisions, thinking like, wow, we're gonna need more information to make a perfect decision, right? It's gonna be safer. Yeah, sure, it's gonna be safer. And then perhaps you're gonna come with the right decision after everybody has made a less perfect decision, but got the market share already. Yeah. So you would have had the perfect product, yeah, 1 year after a competitor had 80% perfect product that everybody bought already. What's the point? Yeah, we really have to balance the speed in decision making and the quality in decision making, right? And then, of course, procrastinating can create kind of a analysis paralysis scenario, right? And that's definitely a buster of great leadership. Now, I've got on my list of boosters of great leadership, high integrity. The opposite being the buster, no moral compass, right? And that's not coming easy, this high integrity thing, right? It's so easy to just try a little lie, try a little manipulation sometimes, and nobody will notice, and it will make things easier, right? However, each time we do that, well, we may be caught, right? And if we are, then the show's over. We definitely enter the category of not trustworthy leaders, and not and manipulative leaders, right? So forget about being considered ever again a great leader, right? So high integrity is a discipline of every day, and it's not easy, and it can be painful because you make decisions that are not going to be popular, perhaps more often than others. And my suggestion to keep making decisions with high integrity is one, make sure they serve the greater good of the organization's future, and two, make sure you can explain those decisions to every single employee. Yeah. And then when you've done that exercise, double exercise, then you can announce the decisions that you've made with high integrity that some people are not going to like, right? Now, there is another booster of great leadership, of course, and it's it's about clarity of purpose. The buster, of course, would be no sense of purpose. So that's readily understandable a booster, right? We've said a few times along the program, right, that it's important that everybody in the organization, in your organization, is clear about the purpose of the company, the difference that the company is going to make, right? And how positive it is for the people in the company and for the stakeholders. And so it's really typical feature of great leaders that they really breathe and live the purpose and explain it all around, like Jack Welch was saying in his time, right? And that leads me to another greatness booster for leadership, and that's reasonable trust of others. A buster being distrust of others. So that general and reasonable trust of others is really important, because when your people feel trusted, most of them are going to honor that back and give their very best. And there you are the leader that brings out the best from people, right? Now, of course, to give your trust reasonably, you've got to trust that you are good enough to handle mishaps if the guys you've given your trust to are messing things up, right? So, and you will probably agree, right, that those leaders who are strong enough to trust others within reasons are also those who are able to make up for any mess up that happens after they've given their trust, they've delegated, they've empowered, right? So two things I think are good practices when you give your trust to others, right? You say it, right? You say basically, hey, I trust you to do that, right? And I trust you because A and B and C, right? So people are really honored and they realize that you're taking a step forward for them, yeah? And then the second thing is tell them that you will have their back, and what you demand is that they keep you transparently informed about what they're doing at a reasonable frequency, right? Now, I want to share two more boosters, and then we'll be done with the list, and we'll have other good things to discuss. The next booster of leadership greatness, in my findings, is optimism. I didn't say naivety. I said optimism. To me, optimism is at its core an intelligent and courageous choice. Yeah, it's the choice that's going to support growth of the individual who has chosen to be optimistic, and it's a choice that's going to make them stronger. In contrast, pessimists will shrink, right? You know, many popular quotes about this, like pessimists are usually right and optimists are usually wrong, but then all great changes have been accomplished by optimists. That's Thomas Friedman saying this, right? Negativity, it's so comfortable, right? When you're a naysayer, you're just sticking to the status quo, right? You just kind of live in the past, in fact, right? And then, of course, nothing great is going to happen to you, right? Because everything changes every minute. And if you're a person of the past, then, well, you become a dinosaur, right? Period. Yeah. You're like the frog in the pan with the temperature of the water increasing and increasing. And you think, no, it's not yet the time to jump. And then you never jump. You get fried, right? So you probably heard also, like, if you think you can't do it, you're right. And if you think you can, you may be right. It's certainly worth trying, right? I'd certainly recommend good practices typical of optimists, right? In situations that are challenging, they look for opportunities, and they tend to surround with themselves with sufficient number of positive, like-minded people, right? Because if you are the optimist in the middle of a pack of negative people, you're going to be drained. You're not going to survive, right? So make sure you pick sufficiently sufficient number of optimists, right? You'll have way more fun, and it's way better. Now, the last booster of two last boosters of leadership. One is choosing a mindset of abundance and generosity. It's related to optimism, really, yeah, but not exactly the same. You know the story, perhaps, of that shoe salesman, right, who was flown to Africa from the headquarters in New York, right? And he landed and he saw that nobody was wearing shoes out there where he had landed, yeah. And so, well, that guy, he phoned back to the headquarters and say, hey, can you fly me back? There is no market here. People don't buy shoes, right? And then another guy was sent a week later and saw the same and called the headquarters and say, hey, can we prepare to massively invest here? Nobody is wearing shoes. It's going to be a great market. Yeah. At a deep level, right? Choosing a mindset of abundance and generosity. In fact, giving with no calculation for receiving anything back is making the choice of happiness, right? Of course, I wish you do take that choice, right? The next booster of greatness is leadership is discipline. And that's my final one, actually. And that's also what we started the series with. You remember when we had Jonathan as my guest speaker, who is a specialist in wellness, right? Corporate wellness, right? And he talked about how discipline is the feat of athletes, right? And again, you could see my guest speakers, right, who are all great leaders, have all the discipline of athletes as they lead, right? And that includes, of course, a discipline in well-being, in fact. And I think Jonathan had told us, right, that discipline is really having the strengths to go for short-term pain for long-term gain. And that is another booster of leadership greatness. Now, I've spoken way too long. Why am I not able to give you all of that in less time? I'll work on that, promise, right? Now, let's check, Teddy, any input so far, or any question? No, I'm going to go to invite you to a little poll that will take 2 minutes max. It's just those 12 boosters of greatness in leadership, yeah? Which one are you going to leverage more? And to go to the poll, as usual, you can either scan the QR code on the screen or just type menti.com, and then they'll ask you for a digicode. And today, our digicode is 2946606. That's 2946606. And we're going to have a picture of which of those boosters receive your attention. let me take you to the web page where we're going to see your results coming up. And this is going to be certainly here. Yeah. Ha. Here we go. All right. And here you're coming already. Wow. Shooting little dots. How cool. Haha. Wow. More and more. Whoa. Yeah. And more and more. Thanks. Interesting. We're starting to see some serious clusters here. Yeah. The winner at this point is the couple stamina and mindfulness. I'm so happy. It's such a great choice, right? It's always the first step, choosing to make further efforts in boosting your stamina and your presence or mindfulness, right? Is really propelling you as even more inspiring and impressive a role model. Yeah, and coming next is clear purpose, right? I'm so happy, right? And wow, 10 coming more and more and more. Yeah, clear purpose. Yeah, and then self-confidence, and really we're talking about, of course, healthy self-confidence and humility. Yeah, the power of humility is enormous, actually, right? Because when you are confident and humble, you really give permission to others to play it straight with you and to be humble as well, right? Same with vulnerability, right? And so the results of the race are a gold medal for stamina and mindfulness. And then we've got 2 silver medals today. Go for self-confidence and humility and clear purpose. And then close to the podium, we've got lessons from failures, fantastic choice in a crisis, and discipline. Yeah. And then we've got optimism as well. Yeah. So important. And then the wisdom of continuously working to update our self-awareness and our self-acceptance, a healthy basis, I would say, for most of the rest. Thank you so very much, as always, for having played the game. Tomorrow, as always, you know, you will receive the full slide deck of this poll, and of course, you will receive the slide deck and the access to the video. And I notice, Teddy, the recording is paused on my side. I hope it's not on yours, right? Cool. And moving forward, I would like to share just a bit more. Don't worry, we won't be long. You've got other great things to go for as great leaders. Yeah. I just wanted to take you through something, and yes, a few things, in fact. One is just this recommendation of reading. It's an article I wrote about finding more of your inner greatness. It's quite easy to read, not too long, and at the outset, you will have perhaps an even clearer sense of what is unique and special about you, and how perhaps you can mobilize those assets even more to unleash more of your greatness, right? And then when you contrast that finding with the purpose you have for yourself as a person and as a leader, you may find ways to empower yourself even more in the way you go to reach for your purpose, right? I wanted also to offer 7 empowering choices for your progress going forward. And that's some of them I mentioned before. That's optimism, reasonable trust in others, gratitude, truth, linked with the high integrity I was talking about before, care for self and for others, forgiveness, and abundance, resonating with the choice of an abundance mindset and the generosity that I mentioned before. And when you make those choices in general and within reason in your life, you will find that you have quite a lot of balance as a person and as a leader as you move through the minefields of the world of business in crisis time. In fact, they are really going to offer you very high quality energy and also may help you develop your wisdom faster. That's my 2 cents of experience working with leaders. I wanted also to offer you, as we close our series today, right? An article I wrote about someone you will find out who is an example of great leader inside out. And I'll just read you the first paragraph of that short article. It's just 2 pages and it starts, "This is the island, this is where you will die," were a warder's first words to prisoner 46664 when he arrived at Robben Island's prison. The convict was confined in a 7-foot square cell with a slop bucket and the floor as his bed. At the beginning, his daily activity was crushing stones with a hammer to make gravel. He was allowed 1 visitor a year for just half an hour. He could write and receive 1 letter every 6 months. News from the outside world were not reaching him. That man endured prison for 27 years. You'll have to download the article to know more. Perhaps you have a good guess about who this is about, right? There's a lot more in this short article about greatness manifested by an exceptional man humanity was very blessed to have. Yeah. And very much to business world now. I wanted also to offer the possibility for you to assess your organization along 4 levels of leadership. And you can download the 3-page document that can help you do that, right? And you will be able to assess the self-leadership and your self-leadership as at a high-level leader by assessing a few of your people's behaviors or way of beings, the quality of your relational leadership by assessing, again, the way your people are doing things and being, the quality of your team leadership by assessing how team members across your organization do some things or not, right? And the quality of your organizational leadership by assessing how your people do some things. In fact, so that assessment is a lot about you, and you don't want to beat yourself up if you don't like that much the results that come up. Again, it's an exercise in gaining self-awareness, and that's so very, very healthy. And with this said, I'd love to conclude and perhaps offer this definition of a leader. It's all in the name, L-E-A-D-E-R. L for love, love of your people. You've got to love them unconditionally, right? So they love you back, right? In a way, right? Of course, you've got to enable them And then you've got to assemble them, because nobody alone will figure out the best way forward in this complex world. You've got to dare and have them dare, right? You've got to embolden them to dare as well. And of course, you've got to reach ahead, right? So continuously raise the bar, in fact. So yeah, that's easily said, and a lot of discipline and courage sometimes, and you can do that. The real conclusion is at a much deeper level, right? Three insights for you perhaps to reflect about in the times ahead, right? One is the value your team members get from your leadership comes from who you are with them. So obviously, your way of being is all important, and the 12 boosters of leadership are all about your way of being, as you have noticed, right? Second, if the size of the world you are offering to your team members is smaller than the one that they relate with, you will not truly be their leader, because they will have no interest in being truly a part of your world. And third, if your dream can't hold inside the dream of your people, well, they will not go for your dream. With this, I'd love to update you, as always, on what's up in my little business, right? You heard me say I'm so excited about this attempt we make with my dear colleague from Mexico City, Elena Espino, about helping leaders and coaches leap from mastery to artistry, which we see as the critical thing to do to be able to thrive in the world ahead, right? And that will indeed have people work on how they are, so that their way of being become a catalyst for people to bring out their very best going forward. In fact, and we'll have 2 fun webinars you can attend and enjoy, 90 minutes, a bit longer, right? With lots of cool things and experiments and videos from artists and philosophers and more cool stuff. Really thought-provoking, totally unconventional, quite the experience. One of those webinars, free, of course, will be on the morning of the evening of 16th of November in Latin America, and the morning of 17th of November in Asia, and midday in New Zealand and Australia. And on the 25th of November, we'll have a like evening time in the Americas, evening times in Asia, morning time in the Americas, midday in Africa, Middle East, and Europe. The same entertaining webinar. You're most welcome to join. For those who can't make it, there are other dates out there in Colombia, in China, and in Indonesia, very soon around the same transformational topic. And for those of you who are curious, perhaps, about what this is really all about, you're most welcome to download the brochure that is sharing the link as we speak about this program for leaders and also for coaches, in fact. And then, as you heard me say before, the time is coming soon for my masterclass for leaders about coaching, and that will be the 5th edition, January to March. And well, perhaps some of you will find it's a good time to polish your coaching skills and make 2021 an even better year with them, because they'll help you get the very best of your people. Having said that, little gifts. On that page, you have all the recordings of the nice previous webinars. They are all on YouTube, and they will be there forever. Yeah. And if you want some of your people to, hey, pick up a few tips about coaching skills or collaborative practice or new ways of working, well, just be my guests and let them know. Yeah. And another gift, which is at a deeper level, right? It's wise insights for a great life, right? It's not just about leadership, it's about your life, right? And some collections of wise thoughts. I hope you can enjoy that, yeah? Last little gift is live coaching demo. Some of you on the program are coaches, and you may enjoy seeing me coach a leader who was overwhelmed by stress in crisis time, like we are all, right? And when you watch that 37-minute session, it's not very long. You as coaches will probably see how you can get the client to do fantastic work by just being there, being present, and doing very little as a coach. So it can be a lesson in being versus doing, right? Which kind of circles back to where we started from, with the quality of the energy and the presence that you bring as a leader. That's all very true for coaches as well. With this, we're going to... We just shared the slide deck of today's in the chat box. Now, my invitation to you is to do better than just download the slide deck, but also to copy the wealth of information that's in the chat box, and so perhaps copy paste it on a Word file or something. So there's a lot of info there. I hope you appreciate all of it. I want to wholeheartedly thank you for your loyalty to this long series, right? 10 webinars, it's not nothing, right? Many of you have been there from day one, and my gratitude go to you. I hope that you gained a lot, and I wish you all the best as you unleash more and more and more of your greatness and make a positive difference to our world. Thank you so much again for being there, and I look very much forward to continuing to be in touch with you in other ways and through social media, of course, for instance. Thanks again, stay well, and my very best wishes to you all. Last little gift, 3 exercises from our dear Jonathan.
Hello everyone, welcome to the 10th video of our series, How to Reduce the Negative Impact of Office Syndrome. Today, I'm going to present you a new exercise. Today, we are going to do some air squats. Why? Because as we usually sit all day long, with time, we will have a tendency to create what we call a muscular amnesia in our legs and in our glutes as well. So let's go for some air squats. It's pretty simple. I'm going to open my feet as well as my shoulders like that, okay? And then I will simply bring my hips back to make sure that I bring my hips low enough to be on the same lines as my knees, this way. And I'm going to bring my arms forward to counterbalance, like that. I go down, and then I come back, okay? On the side, make sure that you send the hips back, and then come back. Breathe in when you go down, breathe out when you come up. Easy. Try to do this little exercise every hour. Go for 10, 20, 30 reps, and do this regularly during the day. As we usually sit all day long in front of our laptop, we create on the glutes what we call muscular amnesia. So by doing this exercise, we're going to bring some blood into the muscles to irrigate it and to also solicitate the nervous system. Very simple exercise. I'm just going to use a chair to make sure I will have a proper balance. And basically, I'm going to do some what we call legs kick back, this way. So I try to maintain my body straight, right? I maintain my legs straight, and I try to raise my leg as high as I can. I'm going to go for 10 reps on one side, for example, and then 10 reps on the other side. If you feel comfortable with this exercise, you can push to 20, 30 reps on each side. It is important to do this exercise regularly, once again, to activate the glutes as we deactivate them during the day. I'm going to present you the 5 key points of how to sit properly. As many of us spend many hours during the day sitting on a chair, it is important to sit properly. So I'm going to show you the 5 different key points to respect to have a proper posture. The first key point is you have to maintain both of your feet flat on the ground with some pressure on the front part of your feet. The second point is you have to maintain your hips in a neutral position. What I mean here is most of the time people have a rounded back, okay, with hips locked, or an arched back like that with the hips totally unlocked. So you have to be in between, that means with a neutral position. And this is our second key point. The third key point is you have to make sure that you're gonna stretch your spinal column as much as you can. The fourth key point is you have to make sure you relax your shoulders. You don't generate tension. And the last key point is you have to lock the jaw and lock the chin as well. And breathe through the nose. If you're not talking to someone, there's no reason to maintain the mouth open. So lock the jaw, chin locked, and breathe through the nose. I repeat, first key point, both of your feet flat on the ground. Second key point, make sure you maintain your hips in a neutral position. Third key point, stretch your spinal column. Fourth key point, relax your shoulders. And last key point, jaw locked, chin locked, and breathe through the nose. And here we go. That was the last video of the series of 12 to help you to reduce the negative impact of office syndrome.
What is coaching? Let me start with a story.
Would you like to be trained by one of the best coaches in the world? Would you like to bring out the best in others, improve performance, leadership skills, and behavior to motivate and inspire, and become a more effective leader yourself? Timeo Performance has built the most effective learning experience you can imagine, and for the first time gives you access to the training expertise, insights, demonstrations, practical tips, and exclusive content from renowned global executive coach and trainer, Mr. Jean-Francois Cousin, a master certified coach, global speaker, internationally published author, and the 2019 chairman of the Global Board of the International Coach Federation. For the very first time, Jean-Francois Cousin is now ready to share his secrets from over 10,000 plus hours of coaching experience with the world.
I believe that there is a great coach within you, and I make it my mission to help you unleash it and at the same time become an even better leader. The insights, practical tips and tools that I've gathered over my more than 10,000 coaching hours experience will help you unleash the great coach within you. I will use a variety of pedagogical approaches. I will emphasize learning by doing, so you can rest assured that the more you involve yourself in this masterclass, the better the coach you will become and the more positive the difference you will make in your life and that of others. A warm welcome to my masterclass.
Take the decision right now to make a positive difference in your life and career by enrolling in this unique 100% online masterclass. Benefit from Jean-Francois's wise insights, demonstrations, and the many practical tips and templates that he will share with you, and unleash the great coach within.